Hello and good afternoon, sustainability friends who are joining us for this month's sustainability chat brought to you by the Sustainability Institute. Happy September, everyone. I can't believe it's the start of fall already and kids are back in school and things are ramping up for a good fall season. My name is Casey Meehan, and I work with the Sustainability Institute on Programming, and I also work as the Director of Sustainability and Resilience at Western Technical College. We have, for the last couple of years now, been presenting Sustainability Chats as a monthly virtual series from the Sustainability Institute, where we get a chance to talk to different people that are doing some really interesting and fun and inspiring sustainability work in the Driftless area. So really, that's what our mission is at the Sustainability Institute, is to bring awareness to some of the sustainable activities that are happening around here, and also trying to help people envision a more positive future. Instead of the doom and gloom that often comes with sustainability talks and with thinking about some of these really heavy issues that the world is dealing with right now, we feel that our path forward is to reach out and help people celebrate and see what good is happening, to really envision what a sustainable driftless area can look like and how inspiring and exciting that is. So as Carrie Thompson and I were thinking about what we could do for September Sustainability Chat, we were amazed really by the, we kept getting ideas and people kept saying, oh, well, there's this happening in September and this is going on this fall and this is going on in October. We were just floored with the number of sustainability related programs that are happening in our communities over the next 2 or 3 months. And so we thought that the best use of our time today would be to connect with some of those people that are leading some of those efforts up, leading some of those sustainability programs up, connect with them and get that message out to our viewing audience. So really today is all about connecting you with people that are leading some interesting sustainability programming. Just as some ground rules here, please do leave your camera off and your microphone muted throughout this presentation, just to make sure that our stream stays really solid. If you do have questions, you can feel free to type them in the chat area. So we will be going through those questions about three-fourths of the way through the presentation today. So if you've got questions at all, type it right into the chat box and we will get to it and we will make sure it gets directed to the right guest. So without further ado, I want to bring in Peter Gorski from the La Crosse Public Library. And Peter's going to be talking about an event that runs the course of the fall, and that is called the Driftless Regional Read. So Peter, why don't you take it away and share share this event? It's a really cool one.
Yeah, so the Regional Read is back for 2022. If you don't know what that is, it is essentially a big community-wide book club and a series of programs, generally kind of around the themes or topics in the book. You might be familiar with previous years. Waking Up White was last year. That was put together by kind of an independent steering committee. And there were a couple of titles before COVID, A Lesson Before Dying and Station 11. But this year, the book is Flight Behavior by Barbara Kingsolver, as you can see on this slide. And it is going to be really centered on climate change. So, what better audience to get involved than Sustainability Institute chat attendees. So I just want to thank everyone who worked on this too. The library kind of did the meeting setting and all the central planning, I guess, but we had tons of help from Western Technical College, the Franciscan Sisters of Perpetual Adoration, multiple UWL professors were helping on that as well. The Winona and La Crescent Public Libraries are both involved, and we had some city elected officials as well as city employees working on that. So just wanted to thank them all at the start for putting a lot of work into this effort. So yeah, the Regional Read has officially kicked off. We started in late August, which means we are distributing the books. Our funding has allowed us to buy a couple hundred copies of the book to give out for free. So you don't have to check them out. You can just come down to the library and take one, and it is yours to keep. We really want to decrease the barrier of not giving you a time crunch on it. And then that way, if you like it, you can pass it on to a friend, get other people involved. You can keep it. If you don't like it, you can use it as doorstop, or you can bring it back down to the library, and we will pass it on to another person. So there will be book chats, basically book clubs throughout the read, which is going to run pretty much till before Thanksgiving holidays. So it'll run through early November. And the book chats are all independent of each other. It's not like a book club in which you have to read a couple chapters and then come back. They're all independent. They're just going to discuss the whole book. There's some in La Crosse and some in La Crescent, some in Winona. So you can come to one, you can come to all of them. They should all be a unique discussion with different facilitators and different people there to make different conversations. And then concurrent with all of that, we're going to have a whole host of programs. Actually, Casey, if you want to share the website, we can scroll through those a little. And again, the programs are really over a wide variety of different topics related to climate change. I'm sure you all are aware climate change is a huge issue that touches upon virtually every aspect of our society and our lives. And so you don't have to read the book to come to any of the programs. They're not going to, the programs outside of the book chats won't be referencing the book at all. They're all totally independent. And so, yeah, one of our librarians, actually, Emily Moots, our new instructional librarian, built this website for the read. So big thanks to her. So it has all the info. You can see the homepage here. If you got a calendar of events up at the top middle link, you can get a full calendar with everything on there. So everything is linked in here. If you have to register, there will be registration links. You can see the location and the time, but we have tons of stuff coming up in September. There's an overview of the climate action plan. So if you haven't been following that with the city, that's a comprehensive net zero plan the city has put together. They've just released the full draft. So Lewis Coleman, the environmental planner, and the head consultant that worked on that will be there, I believe, to present that in hopefully a layman's terms. It's simpler than the 160-page document that most people are not going to have the time to read through. But yeah, we've got story time for adults in September too. That's a monthly library program. Just like it sounds, it's down at Turtle Stack Brewery. We don't want to let kids have all the fun, so there will be adult stories. That one will be climate change themed. We've got a professor coming in, or zooming in, to talk about climate anxiety and our emotions, and how our emotional response really affects how effective we are in trying to deal with climate change, and how we can try to do that in a healthier and more effective manner. There's some program on nuclear energy toward the end. We'll have a board game that Casey's going to lead. That one does require registration to kind of make collaborative climate solutions. There'll be a program on just transition and what that means. They've got stuff on butterfly gardens and hiking out in Minnesota. There'll be a tour of the hub, some solar tours going on online. So just a whole host of stuff. And we will have many of these recorded, and some of them having Zoom options as well. So you can always get back to that website, which was, again, driftlessregionalread.com. So we'll post the programs up there once they're done, if we do have recordings, and we'll hopefully have more resources and some more interactive elements probably as this goes on. But with that, yeah, I would just encourage everybody to check it out and come to anything that looks good, and tell your friends about it. Our goal here was to try to find new avenues into audiences to discuss sustainability and climate change, that might not be people that might not be focused on it as much as they are in their personal life, to maybe pull them in through programs that they might not normally associate to climate change, or through reading and through book clubs and kind of community events like that. So that's what I've got on the read. And with that, I will turn it back over to you, Casey.
Yeah, Peter, I've got a question, a couple of questions. First of all, can you just give a teaser of the book? Like, what is just a really 2-sentence synopsis of the book?
It's about a rural community dealing with climate change, I guess. Specifically, it's very monarch butterfly heavy. Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. So it's got a lot of intersection of class and climate and poverty, and and it follows a woman's personal life pretty closely too, and as she deals with kind of family issues. So it's a fiction book, and it touches on a lot of different themes. So I think there's a lot you can go off of. It'll really depend on what people want to talk about there.
Sure. And do people have to read the book to participate?
No, so the programs are totally independent. I guess you could come to the book chats without reading it. You probably wouldn't get a lot out of it, but yeah, all of the programs are standalone, and even all the book chats are standalone. As long as you read some of the book, you could come, I'm sure. Oh, and I forgot, actually, you reminded me, I forgot one part. The ebook is also available for anyone that has Libby. And if you live in the city or if you have Hoopla, I think the county may be adding it. You can get the audiobook or the ebook for free, and that has no wait time. So I actually listened to the book instead of read it because I didn't have the brain space to do it off the clock. So I did it while I was doing manual labor at the library.
Can you tell us a little bit about, what is your goal, or what's the library's goal for this Driftless, this particular regional read? I mean, it's to introduce people to climate change, but is there anything you guys are really like, what would be a successful outcome for you at the library?
I think we'd love to just have more community conversations about climate change and get more people involved in talking about those topics. I think ultimately we'd love to drive people to be more involved with the Climate Action Plan and La Crosse, particularly if you're local to La Crosse. That should hopefully be voted on toward the end of the year or toward early next year. I'm not sure what the exact month is for the vote on the Climate Action Plan, but yeah, I think after it passes, if we push it through, it's going to require continued community input, and it's going to require people to really step up and get involved in the efforts. It's a monumental task that we have, but and it's a 30-year time scale, so it's a lot of planning and a lot of work, and the more people we can get behind that, the better.
Terrific. Peter, is there anything else that we need to know about the regional read?
I don't think so. And if anyone has questions, we'll get to them at the end.
Yeah, if you've got questions, type them in the chat. Be sure to check out that website, driftlessregionalread.com. It's in the chat box as well. Peter, thank you so much for joining us and being one of the people to bring this event to our area. I think there's just some fantastic programming going on through the regional read. So I would encourage anyone listening today to really comb through that calendar of events and see what interests you. There's a lot of things out there, lot of good programming, and I know the committee's worked pretty hard to bring this to people. So Peter, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And as we're also looking at, so the Driftless Regional Read, as Peter mentioned, it started, officially started just a couple weeks ago, but that runs throughout the fall. There is an event coming up just in the next week or so, and that's Rob Greenfield. Rob Greenfield, for those of you, if you haven't heard of him, is somewhat of a local guy. He grew up in northern Wisconsin, but attended and graduated from UWL maybe about 15 years ago or so. And he's gone on to have a pretty interesting life as an activist in lots of different ways, sort of doing these extreme sustainability activism challenges for himself. One of the things that really got him noticed by people was he was living in New York City and decided to keep his trash on him, wear his trash essentially, for an entire month. So he had a couple of garbage bags, and anytime he created any type of trash, he put it in a bag and went about his day in New York City. So he was this guy that was known as sort of the trash dude, right? Walking around New York City with all sorts of bags around on him. And then since then, he's done lots of other interesting activist work and humanitarian work. So he's coming to UWL on September 8th to give us an update on some of his projects. He was in town pre-pandemic to give a talk. I think it might have been 2019 that he also came to town to give a talk, but he's been a pretty busy guy in those last 3 years. So he will be at the UWL Student Union on September 8th at 7 p.m. And that is a free talk. brought to you by a bunch of sponsors from town here. So if you've got the time to head to UWL, I would encourage you to check out Rob Greenfield. He's a pretty interesting guy with an interesting story to tell. Next, we have Kathy Van Maren, who's going to be talking about at the Ask Me About My EV or electric vehicle event, which is happening on September 25th. So Kathy, why don't you talk us through this event? Welcome to Sustainability Chats.
Hi, Casey. Thank you very much for asking me to talk about this event. This will be our 4th EV event in the last couple of years in the La Crosse area. This one is part of a national Drive Electric Week. So there are going to be hundreds of events all around the country in late September and early October, helping people learn about electric vehicles, ask questions, maybe get some myths exploded, and learn about why they should consider switching. And our event is going to also include electric bicycles and electric public transit. So Adam Lawrence of the MTU is going to have one of the new e-buses there. So we're going to have a whole range of electric vehicles that people can look at and think about. And now that the Inflation Reduction Act is passed, there are a lot of incentives there for purchasing used and new electric vehicles. And I believe that we will have some good information there to help explain what's coming up. So in addition to local bike and car owners bringing their vehicles, we're going to have tabling from some local and state organizations, including the City of La Crosse, talking about the climate action plan that's coming up, because electric transportation is going to be a big part of that, as you know. Renew Wisconsin is planning to come. I'm hoping that Wisconsin Clean Cities will be there, but I haven't confirmed that yet. And I just talked to Tim Bartels from Xcel Energy, and he's planning to come and table too. They have some incentives for charging. So there should be good information besides just talking to people who own cars, from organizations that can help you as an individual or as a nonprofit or as a business owner look at ways to transition from fossil fuel to electric vehicles. I should say, personally, I own an electric car. I got a used one in 2019, and it was pretty affordable. And one of the myths that I hope this event and others like it can bust is that you can only get an electric car if you're super rich. That is just absolutely not true. And this is important because as we look at city legislation that's coming along, there's some misinformation out there about affordability of electric vehicles and other things. And the more we can do to spread the word about the truth, the better, I think. And that's why I encourage everybody who can attend to show up, because we can give the information out, but the hope is that it will ripple out into the community through the people who attend. And one more thing, and that is we've had these, this is our 4th local EV event, but at the last year's one, I met an individual who had come to the first one, and because of the information he got there, he went out and got an EV, and then he brought it to the next event to show it. So that is the hope. And thanks again for letting me come and talk about this. I'm going to drop another link in the chat, and that is to just sort of a local page of information about events and about information for people who might be looking at cars or studies about how affordable they are, etc.
Thank you, Kathy. Hey, so you mentioned that EVs aren't just for rich people, and that's a sort of a myth that you're busting. Are there any other myths out there that you want to bust right now?
Yes, the two I can think of right off the top of my head are range and charging. So a lot of people, like my car has a range of 83 miles. And when I tell people that, they're aghast. How can you, then that's my only car. But what I tell people is you don't need a car with a whole lot of mileage if you don't drive a whole lot in one day. So my daily needs are between 25 and 40 miles at the most. And I added 40%. And so an 83-mile range car for me is perfectly fine for 99% of my needs, because most people drive their car, come home, plug it in at home, and it's ready to go the next day. Now, occasionally I do need to take longer trips, and sometimes I can find charging stations along the way that will allow me to do that. I bought the car in Hudson, Wisconsin, so I had to drive it back. So clearly that's more than 83 miles. But the other thing is I can always borrow my old car back, which I gave to my daughter. So I have access to a gas car that way, or I can rent a car, which a lot of people do anyway if they're taking a trip or have a special need. So that's one thing. And really, if you're concerned about the environment, and many of us who are switching to electric vehicles are concerned about current battery technology, which uses lithium and some other potentially environmentally damaging materials. But if you're concerned, then you would get a car that has the lowest range you need, because you're not using extra materials. And then the other thing is charging. Now I do have a driveway, so that allows me to plug in a charger, and I can plug in a charger to a regular old outlet. Or I can have a dryer outlet installed for not too much money, and charge in my driveway. So people are talking about, oh, there's no charging on, the highway, but most people just charge in their driveway. And again, if you're taking a trip, there are apps that you can use to find charging locations. More and more are being installed. That's a real high priority for the state and nation. And if that doesn't work, then you just rent a car or borrow a car or take public transit. I take a train or interstate bus whenever I can. So we just have to look at our transportation in a little bit different way. But, my thing is, if we are in a climate emergency, when you're in an emergency, you don't ask yourself, how can I keep doing everything exactly the way I am and hope the emergency gets solved? You say, how can I change what I'm doing now to help the emergency get solved? So I'm hoping to bust those two myths about range and charging.
And we do have one question that came across that I'm just going to ask it now. What about driving in the snow with an EV?
Well, I haven't had any trouble at all. I mean, they're heavier vehicles, first of all. Many of them, well, some of them have motors in each wheel. So, you're not dependent on some motor pushing you along or engine pushing or pulling you along. And I don't know if you've ever gotten, I tell people this and they cringe, but there used to be electric wringers that you would have next to a washing machine. You would turn it on, and then as the clothes came out of the washer, you put them in there and they squeeze the clothes and squeeze the water out.
Or squeeze your arms. I remember getting my arm squeezed
exactly.
in one. Yeah.
If you've ever had your hand stuck in one of those, you know that electric motors just keep going. They don't stop. And so that's another thing. Your car doesn't burn out or stall out. It just keeps going. And so I haven't had any trouble at all. But that's where I say talk to people who drive them and find out what their experiences are.
Terrific. Kathy, thank you. And is there are you looking for any volunteers, or is there any way that people can help out with the event, or are you guys set to go?
Oh, that would be great. Well, it's pretty much like 3 old people are putting this thing on. So yes, we'd love to have some volunteers because at the shelter, there are some big picnic tables that we'll need to move and stuff like that. So I would say go to the event website, which you have, thank you, up on this screen. And you can sign up there to be a participant and show your vehicle if you want, and again, bike or car, or you can volunteer. And if you do that, then I'll let you know what to do to help us out.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. And thank you for organizing that event. Sounds like it's going to be really useful for people. And, you know, just from the past, it sounds like it's inspired people to go out and buy electric vehicles, which is absolutely the direction we need to be going. So thank you, Kathy. And now I think we're going to move into some of our October events. So Carrie, why don't you take it away?
Sure. Thanks, Casey. You said at the beginning of this chat, we can't believe that it's September, but we're going to make you push that belief a little bit farther and move into October. There's just so many great things happening. And one of the events that came to our attention, thanks to one of our attendees, is the ASES National Solar Tour. It's the largest grassroots solar renewable energy and sustainable living event in the nation. And the tour helps organizers host in-person and virtual local solar tours and solar sites. Last year in 2021, there were over 135 solar tours and over 2,000 solar sites in 49 states, DC, and Puerto Rico. So you can head to their website, which I'll drop in the chat. And right on their website, you can locate different tours that are happening throughout our region and throughout the United States. We're going to just talk about 2 quick options today, but there are more to explore. One of those is the Couliard Solar Foundation. They're having an in-person tour on October 1st. It's a little bit more of a jaunt over to Deerfield, but they'll have a mini solar tour of Deerfield with a scavenger hunt, family-friendly activities, EV test drives, informational presentations, and live music. So it could be a really fun little day trip to go see what they have there. But if you're looking to stay a little bit more local, you can head to Trempealeau either on the 1st or 2nd for an in-person tour. And we have Lois Taylor with us today to give us a quick overview of what that tour includes. Lois, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much for having me. I'm always thrilled about this tour. I was on the first, I attended the first and second tour when it started in the 90s, and then I looked at what was being available and what people were trying. I went home and I said, gee, I wonder how I could apply this to my own home. And so by the third tour, the third national tour, I was on it in North Carolina with my house. Of course, I've noticed that there's a lot of changes because my system, for instance, could not support computer use because it didn't have the modified sine electronics at all. But it was a real hybrid because at a flip of the switch, I could be on grid or off grid, and I had battery backup, a solar frost fridge, hot water being heated by solar panels. I mean, it was full of things. And oddly enough, what I sold the house for, it had all these wonderful things. People went, ooh and ah, and within a year and a half, they took it all out. Well, I bought a house in Wisconsin here, and also looked at it and said, good site, wanted to put solar on it, see what I can do with it. The house was built in the early 20th century. Okay, it's 122 years now. It's 22 years old. And that's another thing. This tour nationally will show homes that have been set up to be net zero. And I know that through the Sustainability Institute, you had a net zero home. And I would sure hope that they're on the National Solar Tour this year. I don't know, but if you go to the site for the National Solar Tour, you will find that there are other people throughout Wisconsin, across the nation. And the thing is, if you look at it, you can see, oh, maybe that's something I can do because of similarities. Or maybe it'll pique your interest in learning more about wind or anything, you know, being off grid, being on grid. Our tour, I built my home, well, I built my system in 2010, and I was the first in the town. And now there are 9 arrays in town. The company that put them in, Olson, I'll say it because their little sign will be on the tour too. Olson has about 5 more arrays that are going to be installed by the end of the year, or maybe the beginning of the year. So it's a movement that I just feel so encouraged to be a part of. Also, it's a wonderful opportunity to talk to the people who are using it and see the good points, bad points, expenses, you know, all of those kind of questions that you certainly can't read in a book. And being local, you will find out about how it can be applied right in your area. Not reading about Arizona here. We are reading about or learning about Wisconsin and Midwest use. One thing that I particularly want to be on the tour is to demonstrate that one becomes more cognizant of how their carbon footprint is impacted. So when I got my array, Focus on Energy wanted to know what kind of things had I done to reduce my demand. Now they don't do that as much, but I think subconsciously you almost think about it because you look at your utility bill, and I have the net metering, and what happens is if I overproduce or whatever my production is, it's a rebate on my utility bill. So it's kind of fun to see if I outproduce my demand or not, things like that. And by that measure, I am net zero annually. I'm not net zero monthly. So come to the tour. We are all aspects of photovoltaics. Some people have battery backup. One has a full battery backup. In fact, when we had a tornado come in here and we had some power outage, he had his lights on. He tried to be hesitant about turning on the lights on the street side, so he wouldn't, you know, people would, he didn't want to, well, he just wanted to be a little more socially acceptable. I don't know. My system is powerful enough that I can connect to have a EV charger, but I am opting for a charger which will run my house battery backup partially for certain zones in the house. So you will see all kinds of ways that solar photovoltaics has been applied in Trempealeau. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, just send it off to me. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to see you. Every one of our presenters wants to see somebody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lois, for sharing. We did have one quick question come through, and they asked, what is your utility service that you have?
That does not matter. Riverland doesn't. I have Trempealeau Utility. It is under the PSC that any utility is supposed to be working with you if you have solar energy. So,
Perfect.
Yeah, that's not a parameter that will limit you.
Thank you so much, Lois. And I just want to share with everyone, you can go to the nationalsolartour.org and see a variety of sites. The Trempealeau Villagers Solar Tour is listed on there, and you can click through there to get more information. Someone did let me know, Lois, that that click-through link wasn't quite working yet on that site, so I don't know if you have more information that will be coming there, but it looks like they can just head to that location that's on the screen, and they will get more information about where the different sites are. Is that correct?
Right, they're not putting it up yet. What
Sure.
you're seeing now is what was last year's, and they won't put us up until October 1st and 2nd.
Great to know. So if anyone here is interested in stopping and checking out Lois's site or the other sites that are in Trempealeau, I would give that website a few weeks here to update to make sure you have the correct information. So thanks again, Lois. We appreciate you sharing with that. The Couliard Solar Foundation, you can see their updated information along with their tour map right on their website, couliardsolarfoundation.org/tour. So head there if you want some more information. Jackie, who is also in our chat, said that you can contact her directly, director@couliardsolarfoundation.org, for more info on their tour as well. So if we want to keep talking about solar, we have another great person to chat with us today, and that's Ben Golden from Solar on La Crosse Schools. Ben's going to come in today and talk a little bit more about what Solar on La Crosse Schools is doing and what their fall programming looks like. Hi, Ben.
Hello, thanks for having us.
No worries.
So actually, the Couliard Solar Foundation is a great transition to something that we'll be talking about towards the end here. I've got a little presentation of my own that I'm going to get loaded here. So just give me 1 second to get that to share to all of you. Oh, it says host has disabled participant screen sharing. Doesn't want to let me.
You should be good to go now, Ben.
Aha, perfect. I've got it. So hopefully you're all seeing it now. I'm Ben Golden. I am the incoming volunteer director of Solar on La Crosse Schools. We're an all-volunteer organization, for those of you that are not familiar with us. My day job is I teach at UWL, so as any good teacher will tell you, I brought some visuals that we can take a look at as we chat about an update of what Solar on La Crosse Schools has been working on over the last couple of years and then heading into next year. So our mission is to educate, advocate, and fundraise to make solar a reality sooner for the school district of La Crosse. We very much believe that in one form or another, clean energy has to be the future for not just our school districts, but for all of us. And the goal of SOLS is to make that transition happen quicker. So I won't go through all of this, but just for folks who are not familiar with SOLS or with the idea of solar on schools, there's just a couple of things I wanted to mention. K-12 schools are about 43% of all office space nationwide and about 8% of all commercial buildings. So it's a fairly significant sector in terms of energy usage. Children can be one of our most vulnerable populations, particularly in regards to things like air quality. We know that when we improve air quality, we improve things like childhood asthma rates and even test scores and academic performance. There are also educational benefits of having solar on our schools, not just those environmental benefits, but we can do applied lessons in science, math, social studies, sort of across the spectrum. Renewable energy touches on so many different areas. And it's also a potential job for students as they grow up. It's a large and growing sector. Hopefully that growth will even accelerate in the next few years with some of the changes that are coming down the line. And of course, there are economic benefits to schools, most of those being the long-term reduction in expenses. Our very first project, which we'll see a picture of in just a second, on Hamilton Elementary, saves the school district about $11,000 a year, which works out to about $400,000 over the of cost avoidance over the warranted life of the system, 25 years. Those that know solar know it could go on generating long past that, but that's sort of we use that warranted life. And our district in La Crosse spends about 1.5 million on energy annually. It is, and this is true for I think most school districts, it's the largest expense outside of personnel. So it really has that sort of triple bottom line benefit. This is a little graphic that we borrowed from the Midwest Renewable Energy Association. But it's, I just wanted to draw your attention to this first one, which is that Wisconsin schools spend over 175 million annually on energy. And like I said, not just for La Crosse, but across the state and across the nation, it's generally the largest expense. So for all those reasons, we think that solar on La Crosse schools makes a lot of sense. So how have we been doing that? We're volunteer led. We meet monthly with a group of dedicated folks. We have a fiscal sponsor arrangement with the La Crosse Public Education Foundation. So if you were to donate to SOLS, that money goes right to the La Crosse Public Education Foundation. We run a website with a blog and a newsletter where we keep you up to date on the progress at getting clean energy onto and into our schools. Every year we select in partnership with the district a project or two or more, and we set a fundraising goal for those projects. And then we try to make sure that we are visible in the community, and we have we have action happening each quarter. And the final piece of that being advocating with the school district for the continued adoption of these things. So the fun part is looking at some of these projects. I like what Casey said at the beginning about giving folks a progress to look at and things to get excited about. And so hopefully these will be just a few things to get you excited about where we've been with SOLS and where we're going. Our very first thing, just sort of as a demonstration of the concept, was taking the sign at Subman Elementary, our environmental themed elementary school out on French Island, and making that sign solar powered. And so it's actually it could be an off-grid system. It is grid tied, but there's a battery and a solar panel. And so that sign, which is on day and night, has now been removed from the energy load of the building. We have, the sort of dual part of our mission is the educational part of our mission. So the second project that we worked on was purchasing a portable solar panel and battery pack for the district. This rotates through classes in the district so that teachers and students can get some experience with seeing energy be generated from the sun. They can take this outside and watch the numbers tick up on the battery and use it to power some things in the classroom. Our first large project, which was completed in June of 2021, was on Hamilton Elementary School. It was fully funded for the district through some generous private donations, utility incentives, and Solar on Schools grant from MREA and the Couillard Foundation. It's been operational since August of that year. It's a 100 kilowatt DC system, and it produces about 20 to 25% of that building's energy. Then in December of 2021, we purchased some solar ovens to give to the school district and to use again for just a really excellent visual and something the kids can even taste. At some of our events, we've made some chips and cheese with these, marshmallows, as you can see in one of the pictures, to really get kids, especially young kids, to understand the power of the sun and sort of make it clear that transition from sunlight to energy in a different form. Then our sort of current big project, it says June of 22 on there, but like everything else, there were some supply chain issues with some of the solar inverters. So It will actually, hopefully, cross your fingers, be going live later this month. And that's on Northside Elementary and Cooley Montessori on the north side of La Crosse. This one as well is now fully funded through private donations, through grants, including one from the La Crosse Community Foundation and a national grant through the Solar Moonshot Project. It's a 130 kilowatt DC system. And if you're looking at the picture on the screen there, you might be saying to yourself, there's a whole lot of extra roof space that is not being used. And that's true. And that's actually a limitation based on the net metering limits that Xcel Energy sets. We could put more solar on that roof and offset even more of the building's electricity. But, school districts have this interesting thing where they're not really using a lot of energy on Saturdays and Sundays and sometimes during the summer. So that sort of didn't make sense to go much larger than that. So it's a 130 kilowatt DC system. There's a little extra buffer there because the building will always be using some amount of energy. What's great about Northside is that it is heated and cooled using geothermal. So other than some cooking, it is pretty much entirely electrified. So then last thing real quick is what we're hoping to do in the next year and what we're getting excited about coming up in the next year. And the first of those is a potential outdoor solar classroom at Summit Elementary School. This would be a roughly 35 kilowatt system, and it would create an outdoor space for students where classes could be held, that they could use at recess times. The site that we've identified for it is in front of Summit Elementary, so it'd be a great place maybe for kids to wait while parents come to pick them up. And one of the things we're really excited about is that it'll be a highly visible location. Our other projects are mostly rooftop projects, with the exception of the sign out at Summit. This one will be a really visible, tangible one for members of the community to see and understand the generation that's happening. And so we are starting the fundraising process for this. We're looking for monetary donations, also in-kind donations. If folks know contractors or folks who could help us with the frame, the structure of the outdoor classroom, feel free to get in touch about that. And then our second project, we're undertaking two projects this year, will be on the roof of La Crosse Polytechnic, which is, if you're not familiar with Polytechnic, it is a new project-based school within the district, project-based alternative school, and it is downtown, sort of right across from the area where the farmers market is, right kitty corner there. We're going to be putting a 30 kilowatt, we're fundraising for a 30 kilowatt DC system on that roof. And because it's a smaller building, that'll be just over a third of the building's electricity usage. And one of the things we're really excited about is Polytechnic is a project-based school. So we're going to get the students involved in the design of the system, in understanding the system, looking at the offsets. We'll have some of the folks from the solar installer come and talk with the students, and it'll just be a really excellent opportunity for them to see it on their own school, which we think is pretty cool. In terms of future goals, we're looking to advocate with the school district to create a formal climate action plan. We also want to work with the school district to explore some funding models that expand what is possible beyond private donations. Also thinking about potentially our ability to increase the size of the systems using battery storage or creating school-based microgrids. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, we meet every month. You can also connect with us with the information on this slide, which I can share as well. But we meet every month, and we're happy. We're a fully volunteer-led group, and so we're always excited to share what we're working on with anybody else who's also excited about it.
Ben, that is really cool stuff that's happening with solar on the cross schools, and in such a short time. I think that's one of the things that amazes me about solar on the cross schools is just the amount of time the quick amount of time that it's that this is all developed, right? I mean, it's just a matter of a couple of years, really, where it went from this idea to all of a sudden there's real tangible projects that are going up on schools and affecting kids and affecting the taxpayers in really good ways. So that's, to me, it's a really good reminder that we can get sort of downtrodden about maybe how slow it seems like some of this movement is happening, right? With responding to climate change, but really change can happen extraordinarily fast. And it often does when we're talking about social movements in the United States. So this is just a great reminder that change can happen extremely fast and for the benefit of everyone. So thank you for the work that you're doing, and good luck as you move into that volunteer executive director position.
Thanks, and thanks for having us. And I'll say just on your point that so much of it is just about finding people who are excited about it, and then finding a project where the things come together. A school district that would like to save some money, donors and volunteers who are excited about this, the price of solar coming down, and wherever we can find those points where those things intersect in a positive way, that's when it can really start to kind of snowball in a good way.
Yep, exactly. And I think there's more good things coming when it comes to solar. So keep up the good fight, and thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. And this wouldn't be a full SI chat without a little bit of a teaser here. So we've got a couple of teasers for you from the Sustainability Institute. One of them is an event to be on the lookout for. So this will be the 2022 Drawdown Challenge, which is our second drawdown challenge that Sustainability Institute has run. Last one was last October. And the Drawdown Challenge, if you're not familiar with it, is an event where we come together as a team, a Sustainability Institute team, and we each make pledges individually to do some type of climate action. And now what drawdown means, what drawdown refers to, is that point in time where our emissions peak, but then are going down consistently. So there's peak emissions, and then drawdown is when to use probably an overused term now, when the curve bends, right? And when we're consistently moving down with our carbon emissions. And so what we want to do is help bring drawdown as soon as possible. That's what we need to do as a planet. And so the Drawdown Challenge is an event that will be running from October 10th through the 21st. And you will take pledges to do particular climate actions within that time frame. And then the platform that we use totals up the impact that your actions have, whether it's emissions reduction or money saved or things like that. It totals it all up and gives us, first of all, it gives you points for doing that, but then it also gives us an aggregate impact statement. So we can know everybody who's on the Sustainability Institute team as a group over, that those 2 weeks or those 11 days, we kept 100 pounds of carbon out of the atmosphere. So it's a fun tool that way. And we're really hoping to make it a little bit more interactive this year. Similar in some ways to the Green Goose Chase, if you've been involved with that. So at any rate, be on the lookout for much more information on the Drawdown Challenge. That'll be coming out later this month. We'll start soliciting people to be on the team. And the event itself starts October 10th and runs through the 21st, leading up to the Sustainability Awards. So Carrie.
Yeah, thanks, Casey. We are excited for our fall programming. Not only are we bringing back the Drawdown Challenge, but we will also be having the Inspiring Sustainability Awards again this year, happening the last week of October. We are extra excited this year because we're going to be back in person for this event to celebrate together. We are working on finalizing details, so keep an eye on our website when it comes to date and location and how to RSVP. But this event is a continuation of a longstanding tradition from Cooley Partners for Sustainability. This is the 12th year handing out this award. And before we can hand out the award, we need to list our nominees, share those with you today. So this will be the first time that we will be announcing our 2022 nominees. For the past few years, we have opened the nomination process up to the community, out to the community members and the Sustainability Institute attendees. And this year we received 13 amazing nominees. All are greatly deserving of this award. But what happens is the executive board here at the Sustainability Institute will choose one organizational winner and one individual a winner that we will announce live at the event happening in October. So without further ado, let's show you who our nominees are for 2022. We have Sustainable Driftless, Lewis Kuhlman, Alyssa Remsburg and Anders Olsen, Friends of the Marsh, Wiscor, Kathy Van Maren, the La Crosse Public Library, Drift Cycle, Western Technical College, Friends of the Blufflands, Peter Fletcher, Andrew Erickson, and Pat Wilson. So we want to say congratulations to all of the nominees. I believe some of them are even with us today. This is probably the first time that they are seeing their names as nominees. So congratulations to all of our nominees. And we hope that all of you come and join in celebration at the end of October when we announce our 2 winners. We're also excited about this event because we're going to be introducing some fun elements. Of course, there'll be a great event to catch up with everybody, have some appetizers, but also some fun elements that are coming. So keep an eye out, mark your calendars, come find out who our winners are for 2022.
And finally, we'd like to, first of all, just thank everyone who's been on the Zoom today. You know, it's such an honor for us to be able to do these and just to have such great people who are participating and learning from others in the community about sustainability. So thank you everyone who's here today and participating today. I'd also like to just remind everyone that the Sustainability Institute is a membership organization, meaning that members really make all this free programming possible. If it weren't for our members, we wouldn't be able to do this work. So, you know, if you're able, if you're not already a member, please do consider becoming a member of the Sustainability Institute. We're getting into our membership campaign, our fall membership campaign. This is sort of the kickoff to it. So again, if you're not a member and you like what we're doing, please do consider becoming a member. It's really easy to do. Go to sustaininstitute.com. And you'll see at the very top, there's a become a member button and a donate button. Click on either one of those. If you want to become a member, click on that button and you can, you know, choose a level that you feel comfortable with. But it really does, this runs on membership. So, you know, spread the word to your friends and your loved ones and get them interested in Sustainability Institute too. Special shout out to our advocate members, Lynn and Todd Huffman, and Lee Roche and Western Technical College as well. So with that, thanks for attending. Do feel free to join us at our future events. You can always find them at sustaininstitute.com/upcoming events. You can see on the right there our upcoming events for the Sustainability Institute. So please join us. We'd love to have you. And if you are interested at all in seeing this Sustainability Institute chat or any of them from the past, go to our Sustainability Spotlight blog, which is, again, from our webpage, and you can find video playbacks for most of our sessions. So with that, have a great September and get out there, enjoy some of these sustainability events that are happening. Lots to do in the community. And we hope to see you at the Drawdown Challenge and then at our Inspiring Sustainability Awards, where we get to show our appreciation, not just for the 2 eventual winners, but also for everyone who's been nominated. So thanks, folks. Have a great September, and we'll see you soon.